Okay, I'm totally cheating here, and instead of filling in the notes, I'm going to use them because I didn't feel like making the dot plot. I'm just going to be honest. So here's what the dot plot looks like. I've got scores and test scores as my label. I can see that it's relatively symmetric. Don't worry about what I have written up there right now. Here's your definition, a big one for today. A standardized value, or it's also called a z-score. These two things mean the same thing. Is a simple formula, and it's a huge one for us for this year. We're going to use a z-score over and over, guys. It goes z for the z-score is your data value minus the mean, which is 80 for this data set, and over the standard deviation, which is 6.07 for this data set. Okay, the standardized value or z-score is interpreted like this. It's the number of standard deviations a data value is away from the mean. So as you're writing that down, let me say this. If you have, if these are test scores, and the mean is 80 and you get a 75 on it, your score is less than the mean. So look, when you go 75 minus 80, you get a negative number. Negative z-scores are below the mean. And if you get like a 90, you would go 90 minus 80 to get a positive number. So positive z-scores are above the mean. Okay? What I wrote up here, since the standard deviation is 6.07, I went from the mean and I added 6. You see that distance right there? That's the standard deviation. And that's interpreted as the average distance all those points are away from the mean, right? We did that earlier in the chapter. So that's one standard deviation above the mean. Now watch this. If I go a second standard deviation above the mean, I'm here. If I go 3 standard deviations above the mean, I'm up here. This interpretation is how many standard deviations are you away from the mean. So if you get this 67 down here, it's going to be negative. You're below the mean, and I'm just going to estimate this distance. That's 1, 2, over 2 standard deviations below the mean. It's a way of saying how far you are away from the average. Next page.